Macintosh mouse. The symptom is the scroll wheel doesn't seem to behave, in that we actually had two mice with the same or with a similar symptom. One of the mice would not scroll downwards and the other one would not scroll upwards. And the issue is dirt that eventually clogs up inside the rollers, inside the little trackball. To get this mouse open, there is a plastic ring around the bottom that goes right around, holds the cable in, and goes all the way around the edge. And it is glued together. You actually have to get a knife or a sharp edge. I actually use a knife to start it and pry it open right between the seam there. And then I use a very sharp chisel to finish prying it open. Just get the knife in and pry it open like that, and you'll hear it crack. So you can see I used a combination of a sharp knife and a sharp chisel, and I have the plastic ring off. Just inside the mouse on the two sides there are some little pins that engage that you can just pry the case open and get that separated. Once you have those separated, you'll notice that there are ribbon cables inside, very thin ribbon cables. And you actually have to release the latches on the ribbon cable by pulling up on the flat portion at the top. And there's two of them. There's the green one and the red one. You can see I have the one side released over there, and I haven't released the other side yet. So that's what I mean by pulling up on the latch. Well, we can see a giant dust bunny in there right now, but the primary culprit is not that giant dust bunny. The primary culprit is in here where the trackball, or the trackball encoder is. 3 screws removed, and you can now remove the trackball assembly. And you can see there's some pretty considerable dirt buildup inside there, but it's going to be worse inside the assembly. Should be able to just pop that out. There we go. And we can see considerable dirt buildup on the edges of that. Rubber ball will also be dirty. These little guys here are the culprits, and you can see the dirt buildup right there, and that's what prevents the ball from making that turn. So these have to spin freely in there, and note the way they are oriented, because that's crucial. You can put them in the wrong way around when you're putting it back together, and this is rather crucial because the little dark part there is actually tiny magnets that I believe work against Hall effect sensors on the circuit board underneath attached to the ribbon cable. So you have to make sure you get them back with the black on the proper side. So just keep going around in a circle when you're putting them back. I got myself some isopropyl alcohol, and I'm going to send these guys. Well, that is truly and surely stuck to the magnetic piece. So I'm going to pick them out. That's a pretty good chunk of dirt in that one. And I'm going to let them swim. You notice how they stick together. I'm also going to let the ball, hey, come back. As fun as that is. I'm going to let the ball swim. I'm going to let the centerpiece swim. And then I'm just going to take a toothbrush and soak it in alcohol, in the isopropyl alcohol, and brush to make sure I get all of the dirt off of all of the parts. And then I'm going to blow them off with canned air. And I'm also going to blow out that area to get rid of all loose dirt in there. I'm not going to wash it because of the circuit board. Just going to blow it out with canned air. Here's a before close-up of one of the little magnetic rollers, and you can see the dark spots on it, which are the dirt. And here's the same one after cleaning. Looks considerably better. When putting it back together, the little piece that holds all the rollers and the ball in, you notice there's actually a long tab that goes on the back side closest to the ribbon cable. So make sure you get it oriented correctly when you put it back together. Got the 4 rollers and the ball back in there, ready to put the cap on. And then it's crucial to make sure that you actually get the shafts of the balls lined up in the little grooves on that cap. Don't just push it down. Get the shafts lined up before you push down on the retainer and it clicks into place. Once you get it reassembled, it's fiddly, make sure that it works before you put the whole mouse back together. And when you move the ball downward, this roller should spin. Which we can see it doing. When you move it upward, this roller should spin, which we can see. Same thing when you move it to the left. You can see that roller moving. And when you move it to the right, which is downward in my there we go, we can see that one spinning. So make sure those all work and float freely before you reassemble it. Make sure you clean all the dust and dirt out of the inner area where the ball goes, otherwise that'll just go back in and contaminate the rollers right away. Put the 3 screws in that hold the trackball assembly. When it came apart, the green ribbon was on the top side of that, so that's the way I'm going to put it back together. Make sure that the little latches on the tops of the ribbon cable sockets are all up at both ends. That way the ribbon will insert easily, and then you push down the 2 ends of the latch to lock the ribbon in and make the contacts. Before you put the latches down, make sure the ribbon cable is inserted all the way and nice and straight and even. The little latches on the front go into the front of the mouse first, and there is a little knob on the rubber piece, the strain relief on the cable, that goes into a little notch in the groove down there. Make sure that gets locked in place correctly. And then you can, once you get the front end in, you can get the rear latches on. Once you get your mouse reassembled, cable in properly, you can test the mouse at this point before you glue the retaining ring back in place. This mouse has been tested and does indeed work, and some people on instructions I saw on the web used crazy glue to glue it back together, and I actually use a UV curable glue because that lets me actually get everything in position and then hit it with some UV light to make the glue cure, and I can make sure things are in the right position. You can see I had a little bit of run over there, but I just put a few spots of glue, about 6 spots of glue around the edge to hold it back together, and we have a Mighty Mouse back ready for operation.